I wish there was a surefire way to guarantee you could get something that you wanted. Like, no matter what, if there was like a way that you could think about something hard enough, and you could seriously just have anything you possibly imagine happen. You know, if that was possible, that would be really cool. But I actually I don't think it. Well, I think it is. I think you truly can attract everything you're ever gonna. You can accelerate the attraction of things when you stop thinking about what it is that you're trying to attract. And you know what? That's pretty sad. You know, you have to not be beholden to your desires in order for your desires to come true. I don't know. I've been like wanting things, you know. We all want things. Oh my god, bro. I keep on flying into the fucking water. And it feels like every single time I feel close enough to being assured in the fact that it's going to happen for me, I'll take a step away and it's like I've forgotten almost all of it. You know? Like every single step of mental courage will disappear and then it'll come back, and it's like I can't maintain my own thought about my own self. All I know is that I want one thing, and everything I read tells me not to live by want, to live by, you know, just live through universe, live through intention, live through what you want to live through. Well, no, maybe don't live through anything. Just know that everything that you're ever going to have and that you're ever going to need is already trying to come to you. And once you acknowledge and break down those boundaries that are holding you back from the things that you want to achieve, it'll come. And yet, when the thing that you want to achieve is like an emotional topic that requires, like, it's not possible, you know, like that. You can't just try really hard. You almost gotta think differently. Like, you gotta know that if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, because you can't force certain types of things. You can definitely try, leave intention, and, you know, you can try your hardest, but I feel like the more you dwell on it, the less it's gonna happen for you. Like, if I spend all day excited about something, and in the end, it's like, if you let yourself stay and, like, generate and to get too excited about something, you're almost bound to let yourself down. And I kind of don't want to let myself down. And I don't want to make an action that doesn't feel like me, you know? There's a certain level of, I also don't want to force anything. Because, you know, you have to be yourself at all times. I don't want to do anything that's disingenuous to my actual, like, purpose. Because I feel like everything that, I want to feel happy at the end of the day, you know? I have a reality I've pictured in my head that I believe will happen, and yet I lack confidence in seeing it through, even though I'm closer than I've ever been before. Even though I'm more aware, and more concerned, and more considering, I am more scared. I am more nervous about running out of opportunity. When you have to be patient with it and know that it's going to come to you in the right time. And you have to break down the walls on your own and take the right steps for that to come into your life. It's all a whole bunch of... feels like a whole bunch of hocus pocus, but, you know, it kind of is true. It's all a matter of perspective. If you truly believe that your life is going to change and you have a clear vision of the way forward, you're going to succeed, because somebody who doesn't know what's going to happen and what they want to do with their life isn't going to succeed. If you can picture the end goal, if you can picture what you want it to be, and you believe hard enough that nothing is taking that away from you, and that you are completely in your power for that to happen, it'll happen. I believe that. And yet, and I still believe what I want will happen, and yet it won't happen when you want it. It'll happen when you least want it, when it's finally not gonna matter to you anymore. That's when it'll happen, because that's when you're detached. You don't worry about it anymore. You're not having the stress. You don't have the belief that you're not enough, because you'll not care, and it'll come. The second you no longer give yourself the condition that you're not able to receive it, or there's something blocking you from receiving it, you will receive it, because you'll believe you're enough. I feel like everyone, I don't know how certain, and we live in a society where your goal is to, like, what, when I at least, like, somebody's growing up before me, and they're becoming accountants, they're getting 9-to-5 office jobs, out of the aspiration of, oh, this will feed my family. Yes, it will, but, like, you should be getting, everyone should be allowed to be a painter. Everyone should be allowed to be what they always wanted to be. We have too many jobs where you actually don't exhibit ambition, I think. Where you don't reach the fulfilling requirements of life. You just reach the filling requirements of company spreadsheets and political ideas. Have you seen a lot of the weed regulation stuff in the USA? I think that's pretty interesting. I think I read somewhere about Joe Rogan. Also, before I say, I do not take any information from Joe Rogan. I do not share opinions with that man. Unless I don't know, he agrees that, you know, if he has some, like, if he also has run-of-the-mill opinions that everyone agrees on, I do share opinions with him. But, you know, you get what I mean, right? But I think he said something about how big alcohol is really trying to hold back the weed industry. And that's pretty interesting, right? Fighting for people's addictions is pretty crazy. I mean, you've seen the stuff where it's like the Netflix CEO and the Facebook CEO saying their biggest... Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know the CEO of Netflix. We should probably figure that out. He's probably doing some bad shit, right? They're all doing bad shit. Let's dox his ass. But yo, it says something like sleep is their biggest, like, worry, when it comes to competition. And it's like, what? People not being, like, so you can't when you can't exploit people, so your whole, in order to, like, make money, you have to be, that amount of money, you have to be exploiting every second on the clock, right? Inside, for humans. That is crazy. Like, they are purposefully making you form addictions to make money. Addiction is what they're selling to you. They're selling to you which addictions you don't mind ignoring. And, like, I'm aware, like, people will go to the supermarket and eat food, and they'll eat snacks, but they don't realize they're addicted to high fructose corn syrup. Like, certainly for a fact know I'm, like, there's things in my diet that I shouldn't, you know, be eating. Everyone knows that there's things in their diet that they shouldn't be eating, but do they actually realize that, I mean, historically, no human before you has ever consumed a Haribo, you know? No human before us could conceptualize what a Sour Patch Kid is. and yet we eat. I know people that would eat packets of. I would eat Haribo pack. I would drink Monster Energy drinks daily, and you know, that's just packaging addiction. Like, humans were never able to consume these substances, and that's not to say evolution and the fact that our bodies can handle them. I'm just saying it is unnatural, and we live in unnatural times. I mean, what's more a sign of we're trying to abandon the natural world than to invent intelligence when intelligence is around us already? Like, oh yes, let's create a new form of brain when we already have a much more impressive form of consciousness that exists because you can't explain it. But obviously that's the problem, right? Like, human consciousness is a lot harder to explain than AI consciousness because they've coded the AI, you know. They created it, they writ it in fucking Java. I don't know how you make a fucking artificial intelligence model. I think artificial intelligence, if it ever existed in a form where, you know, it wasn't killing the environment and people and making people lose their jobs and all that stuff, there's a place for artificial intelligence in society, obviously. There's a place for everything in society when we find a way to apply it in a way that's not going to take away from human life. Like, I think it could be a great invention. But then again, I don't want to use it as an invention to replace human smartness. Because then, like, where's that? You replace the human brains, you replace human creativity, right? Somebody had to come up with all those math equations. I think, to a certain extent, creativity and, like, famous science discoveries all had a part to play. It's the same thought process, just now that we've made certain discoveries, they become fact and rudimentary. And you don't have to conjure them up as your own ideas and prove that they're real. And that's why the human mind will always be more impressive, because it can take an abstract concept, look at reality, and apply it to each other in a metaphorical way and come away with a new answer. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Really makes you think, what if, like, animals have this, like, hive mind consciousness, like, have a consciousness like us, right? And they don't have the tools to break free. It's like, imagine humans were caged all the time, or like we were treated like, I mean, if you've seen Animal Farm, that shit's scary, bro. I did not like that. That made me really uncomfortable as a film, because it's a pretty, like, that would be a pretty terrifying concept, right? And it's like, why do we treat the animals like that? We really shouldn't. It's the most lucrative way to have them, though. And that's the way it's always going to be, because we've set up a society where other things now can't run if something else isn't running at its most maximum profitability. Everything, I'm dying repeatedly, everything has to be maximized for profits at the expense of the earth. And it will change eventually. You know, the people that control the earth and are in government will soon know that revolution is coming, because people aren't happy with those decisions, you know. Nobody will let fascism fly. Even people that currently support fascism won't let fascism fly when, you know, they finally have to experience it. And I think with the, like, it's good. We saw Nazi Germany with the Great Depression. It's why Hitler exists, right? Exploiting the economic downfall, the Weimar Republic being set up as a result of allies just wanting to enforce democracy in a place that they know is divided, will not be able to vote on a proper on a proper thing, and so they will have a weak government that they can exploit, which the allies knew all too well. Germany was not ready. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I died. Germany was not ready for a democracy, and it's the same in the case of the USA now, because then they've created a society that can't even interact with politics, that can't even actually understand what's going to help them or not. Like, and they've also created a society that's going to vote in a liar, a man that said he's going to release the Epstein files, and now it is the biggest scandal ever that he's not releasing them. That's what Donald Trump came into office for, and he's not released the Epstein files. And they're going to release the Epstein files, and it's just going to have Democrat names in them. And that's going to be used in a way to deflect from the fact that the argument is not about Republicans v. Democrats. The actual Democrats don't care that the blame is going to be shifted on them, because they know that is their way of also getting away with it. Is their way of not blaming the rich for being pedophiles. It is the way of not explaining the fact that why is it that all the wealthy end up being terrible people? Why is the money tied up in bad things? We do not know. Well, we do know. But actually, I suppose I don't know. Like, there's still some, like, there's obviously things that none of us know. I hope that, well, I know that the world will come to a better place soon. Like, they're trying to build isn't it like a cryptocurrency-run city in Gaza? And they're trying to rename the Golden Heights to Trump Heights. That's fucking crazy. That is... Oh, you're joking, I missed it. Okay. Yeah, no, that is not the one, I think. I think renaming a religious area at all is in poor taste, but I mean, that whole region of the world is just obscene amounts of death in the name of numerous different gods, but they were just put under, in the past, the Crusades, obviously, it was under for the name of God, for God, and also because the taxes the taxes from the church, but you would get all your money from the Pope, and you would get the taxes. Yes, that's why they really were going for all these crusades, for all this money, and then they could also get titles in the Holy Land, which would be so lucrative and would set up your family for life. But I mean, they could not maintain Jerusalem at all. Not with the Ottoman. Well, there's so many different empires that I could go over that have occupied the current Gaza Strip, but now it's occupied by Zionist fascists who actually are like descendants of the most well, not, they're not descendants. Netanyahu's a fucking fraud. I don't know. He's a terrible human being. He's just using the Jewish Zionist identity to get what he wants. But yeah, they're claiming to be Zionists, so descendants of like purists. So just like imagine how the Nazis are like, everyone must be Aryan, blue eyes, white hair, like blue eyes, blonde hair. It's like that, but you're Jewish. It's Zionism. It's fascism, but Jewish. And because it was, now think about this, right? Because we've blamed everything. You know, the Jews had the Holocaust happen to them, and anti-Semitism is like this big thing now because of that. Even though obviously you shouldn't be anti-Semitic, like that's not a good thing. If there's a perfectly normal person and they say that they're Hebrew, you know, or Jewish, that is beautiful. That is fine. Let them have their religion. I do not care. But if it's like, I don't know. Okay, say someone claimed to be a Zionist. Well, no one's going to do that, I don't think. Unless they truly are a Zionist. Like, unapologetic. But then those people are in communities of Zionism. Like, I don't know the subtle beliefs of the Israeli people. I think everyone is good. I'm sure it's just the political, like, you see a lot of stuff, I think, about people, like people on social media trying to capitalize on people that aren't happy with, like, all the stuff going on with Israel, and trying to like confuse people, trying to make them think that they're not supposed to like Israel and push them down a direction that they're not supposed to when people are really just trying to figure out what's going on. I feel like there's a pipeline that you get pushed down, like, of being, to a certain extent, anti-Israel. Like, you start saying, all people in Israeli society hate people. Like, they just hate America. Like, they wish death upon... And that's, like, that's an insane concept, and that's just not true. But what is to be said is that there are people who are Jewish and Israeli with lots of money that are causing death to people. And there's white people with lots of money that is causing death for people. There's black people. But that's not a part of the debate, right? To argue about other races also doing it other than white people and Jewish people, I would say, is immodest, considering the situation is Palestine, and the situation is history. The situation is the oppressors still being the oppressors. The colonialist forces still being in power, the white people.